Good morning, grade 11, and welcome back to a new lecture of the distance learning about a new piece of poetry. A poem by Langston Hughes, and the poem is called As I Grew Older. But today, inshallah, I am not going through the summary or the analysis. I'll just tell you some about the poet and the message of the poem, and also what the poem is about. Before you start to listen, start listening to the poem, I need you to know a little, some information about the poet and also the era of him and his actions during his era, his activities and things like that, because as I said before, you should involve some information about the poet and also the era of this poet in your analytical essay. In the introduction of the analytical essay, you should involve some information about the poet, the message of the poem, and also the era of the poet. So before I go through the poem, you will listen to a few or some information about the poet during the following page. Let's go through it. Langston Hughes from 1902 to 1967. He was a famous African-American poet. As I said, American poet. It means that we're going to go through the racism in America against the blacks. He also was a social activist. A social activist means that he was he had a lot of objections against the behavior of the government over there. Also, he was a novelist and playwright and was recognized as an important literary figure who lived during the time of worldwide racial oppression and discrimination against the blacks. As I said, he had his word against the behavior or the Americans' behavior against the blacks. There is a great racism in America. The whites did not like the blacks, and there was a lot of the discrimination and humiliation against the blacks all the time a long time ago. He was born on 1st of February 1902 in Joplin, Missouri. Langston was involved in the civil rights. It's a very important point here. It means that this poem was like a great word of him to his nation or to the people in his society, to have a behavior, a tough behavior against the racism or the discrimination or the humiliation or the oppression against the blacks. So the civil rights movement, and also wrote protest poetry. As I said, he was a social activist. It means that he was protesting against a lot of the activities during his time, and all of the activities or all of the troubles he had during his time was the racism or the humiliation against the blacks. When you go through the poem, you are going to find that he was saying, "I am black." It means that he was suffering from being humiliated or discriminated by the white people. So let's go through the rest of the background about the poet. And as I said, you have to highlight some lines to be used in the introduction or the conclusion of your analytical essay. Is a great hint to say a qualified analytical essay. He believed that poetry and art can bring out about changes and equality in society. He thought or believed that his words will be transferred to the society or to the people in the society during his poetry or during art. Maybe you are greatly affected by art or by music or by poem, more than being affected by rules or orders from the government or the society. He was also a part of the Harlem Renaissance as one of the first poets to promote African American culture. As I said, he was a great figure or literary figure in the American poetry. He participated in in raising the American poetry to a high level of the general literature. Such as the jazz music, known for his free flow and expression. Langston Hughes was very much concerned about creating the African American poetry as an independent genre in the world of literature. It's a very important sentence here. He was a great figure in raising the American poetry as an independent genre in the world of literature. Right away, I'm going to show you, display the poem. You are going to listen to it carefully and, as usual, ignore the difficult words. Just focus on the theme of the idea of the poem, and also the message of it, and also the most important thing for today is what the poem is about. I want you to listen carefully and guess what the poem is about. Listen, please.
It was a long time ago. I have almost forgotten my dream. But it was there then, in front of me, bright like a sun, my dream. And then the wall rose slowly, slowly, between me and my dream. Rose until it touched the sky. The wall. Shadow. I am black. I lie down in the shadow. No longer the light of my dream before me. Above me. Only the thick wall. Only the shadow. My hands. My dark hands. Break through the wall. Find my dream. Help me to shatter this darkness. To smash this night. To break this shadow. Into 1,000 lights of sun. Into 1,000 whirling dreams. Of sun.
Great, so this was the poem, and I think you got a little bit of the idea of the poem. Now you are going to listen once more and give your brain the great chance to expect what the poem is about. Listen again.
It was a long time ago. I have almost forgotten my dream. But it was there then, in front of me, bright like a sun, my dream. And then the wall rose slowly, slowly, between me and my dream. Rose, the sky, the wall, shadow. I am black. I lie down in the shadow. No longer the light of my dream before me. Above me. Only the thick wall. Only the shadow. My dark hands. Break through the wall. Find my dream. Help me to shatter this darkness. To smash this night. To break this shadow. Into 1,000 lights of sun. Into 1,000 whirling dreams. Of sun.
Okay, this was the poem, and I think you gathered some information about what the poem is about. And the introduction of the poet helped you a lot to expect what's coming on this poem. So right away you are going to go through the message or what the poem is about. And afterwards try to write some important lines for the introduction, because today's information is just for the introduction. So listen, please. As I Grew Older is a poem about the dreams that the poet was unable to achieve because of racial subjugation and discrimination. Discrimination and subjugation are the same meaning. They mean destruction or invasion or devastation or injustice. So all of them are negative adjectives or negative nouns, for what was happening in America during his time. Injustice and everything, bad behaviors against the blacks, discrimination and subjugation means devastation for the people who are black. The poet in his childhood had dreams about as time passed, and he grew up, he was subjected to racial prejudice and oppression. Prejudice and oppression are the same meaning also. They mean damage or discrimination or abuse, control, injustice. So also negative nouns about the black behavior from in America between people from the white to the black. So he was against the racism, and because he was a great social activist, he thought that he can transfer his ideas or his words through or during the people in his society through his poetry. This is the message of his poem and what the poem was about. Focus on this please for the introduction. Thank you very much for watching, and to be continued inshallah for the next sessions in the summary, analysis, theme, structure and things like that. Thank you very much. Bye bye.